There you go. All right. Obviously, finally game week. Our guys are excited. It's great to be back. We actually took a quick break there for Christmas, had the opportunity to. Not many guys got a chance to maybe go home, but we got enough local guys that it's kind of a balance between being really smart and what you can do. But it is an opportunity for us. Some of us had them over at our houses. So nonetheless, we're back at it. Really excited to get down to Atlanta and for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl on the 1st. And we believe this is the best team that we have faced and played since I've been here at the University of Cincinnati. And that's no disrespect to, obviously we played Ohio State last year. It was early in the season. I think even, they weren't quite maybe what they were by the end of the year. But just all in all, from what I've told our team, from what I've watched and what I've seen, this is a really, really good football team that I know we got to be at our best and play at our best.
I thank you. We'll start with questions. Justin Williams from The Athletic, you're up first.
Coach, generally having the bowl game is some time to do some extra practices and development of young players. Does that get completely thrown out this year? Is it just treated almost like a normal game week because of the compressed different schedule?
Well, you say extra practices. You're right. Usually, you have a bowl game and you find somewhere somehow to get the 12 to 13 practices in, maybe even 14 for a bowl game based on when it is. And not all those are obviously in game prep. I think we've had about 145 or so practices for this season, which is far more than any season I've ever been associated with. If you go all the way back to the beginning where you had some OTAs and things. So I don't really believe it wasn't an opportunity. It wasn't the time to kind of get a lot of that work for young guys. 12 days when we found out when we were playing and where we were playing and who we were playing. So really we kind of had to find a way to just kind of lock ourselves in. Didn't take a whole lot of time developing some of those young guys. But as the season goes along, those young guys aren't young guys anymore, and you got a far greater expectation for them. And a lot of those guys are going to, maybe didn't play early in the year, maybe didn't play in the middle of the year. They're going to have vital roles as we go into this Peach Bowl. So it's not even just the development of them in this bowl, practice. It was development of them over the whole time of the 140 some practices we've had for 9 games.
We'll go next to Chad Brendel.
Coach, how much have you been able to kind of refine that rhythm that maybe you lost with a month off and getting in the AAC title game and then getting, as you mentioned, straight into kind of doing Peach Bowl practice stuff as opposed to the developmental stuff? You
want to explain what you mean by that rhythm that we lost? I'm not sure. You don't mean like 10 false starts and I mean, how, to the naked eye, I didn't know that you guys would notice the rhythm that was probably not as there as much, or
you're pretty trained eye.
Pretty good. Yeah, you are.
Pretty trained eye.
That's pretty well done there. It's difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. When the emotions start to roll, a lot of things happen. And I can tell you this, that we're excited to have 18 or 17,000 fans or whatever is going to be in the 25%. The emotions are going to roll. There's no way we can simulate that. There's no way we can take a true freshman center and kind of add that much more, I'll say pressure, but anxiety on top of them, along with, maybe a couple All-Americans across from him. It's going to have to be something we learn from. And it's not like you could say, hey, we got back into a rhythm. We went and scrimmaged and did this, and this before the bowl game. Mature people and mature teams and pros, guys that love the game and study the game, work the game, learn from those mistakes. And I really hope as coaches we've learned from those, and as players we've learned from those. And we'll be tested and we'll see and we'll find out. But I can't tell you that we know exactly, and there's not some magic that we went and did to say, hey, we're gonna eliminate all those mistakes and we're gonna be right back in rhythm.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of development from Desmond Ridder over the past 3 seasons and over the course of this season. Can you just describe where he's at now in terms of his growth and progression as a quarterback?
I think he obviously leaps and bounds from where he was as a freshman. I think he's a heck of a lot further than where he was from last year. And some would say earlier in the year he wasn't there. I still tend to disagree with them. I think he has really, really continued to develop. I think that it's a unique situation. When you've got a lot of different and new wide receivers, there's as much there as there is the quarterback position. But I think all in all, you've been able to watch and see his development because he's been playing since a freshman. And as he starts to look at some of these other things with NFL and different things like that, the great opportunity that he's had is to be able to play for 3 years. The difficult thing is everybody's been able to see the issues that he's had and how he's had to mature past a lot of that because he has been playing for 3 years. So I think it's easier for us to watch and see that growth and development. I still think that the ceiling is incredibly high. I still think that there's another level that he will be at. And I hope it's now, and I hope it's, in this game. But the thing is, he's a worker. He's a pro. He's a student of the game. He loves what he does. He has a mind for perfection, and he's never going to stop. So he has developed a long way, and I think he's still not saying he's got to go much further, but I still think with what his true high end ability is, I think he's still got a lot more in him.
Mark Weiser, go ahead with your question.
Coach, I want to ask where you guys are COVID-wise in terms of missing guys, and also have you had any opt-outs?
I don't think we're answering a whole lot of COVID questions. That's kind of for the medical staff. All year we've kind of been, hey, this is, those guys kind of communicate about that and talk about that. I could tell you that we're in a good place. We have not had any opt-outs. We obviously had some early in the year, when camp started, very minimal. So we were in a good place with all of those things, but it's still early. You say that, and then you start trying to find something to knock on and different things like that, because it's one of those things you just cannot relax on. So we're continuing to do what we do. We're going to, I think, basically be testing every single day, and still asking our guys to make sacrifices. And you just never know. One bad day can lead to a lot of different things, and so you try to have that balance. We're keeping them. I'm not saying we're quarantined. I'm not saying we're keeping them in a bubble, but we're keeping them as occupied as we possibly can to keep them around just this group of people as much as we can.
Thank you.
Bill Dennison, if you're on, you can go with your question.
Coach, can you give us a detailed scouting report on the Bulldogs offense and also the defense? Thank you.
They're good, and they're good. They've got some really good players. I mean, I don't know that we're going to have the length of this. I don't think it's hard to pop on and see. I really do believe offensively they've settled in with the quarterback that has, to me, made them and looked at them with rhythm-wise, in my mind, a lot better, more solid. Not that they weren't solid at the beginning of the year. I think that they still were trying to figure out and find out who they were, what the quarterback was going to be able to do really, really well. Coupled with playing great defense. And, I think that you've seen that maturity, you've seen that ability for them to mature and develop throughout that season, kind of settle into who they are as an offense. And I think they're playing a lot better here, even here the last 3-4 games than maybe what you'd seen in rhythm-wise early on.
Anthony Dasher, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Coach, kind of follow up on that. What has been different about the Georgia offense since JT Daniels took over? And who did he remind you of as a quarterback?
Well, you hate doing comparisons to say exactly who they remind you of. I think he's still it's hard to see all that he does. I know he can make every throw. I know he can spin it. He's got some great weapons. I still don't think he's unleashed all he can do. I mean, when you run the ball and you got as good an offensive line as they have, you don't have to kind of sit your quarterback back there and do all those different things. So I can see where they're probably slow in the maturation to say, hey, let's don't give him everything. We might get away from some of the things we do really well, just because he throws it so well and has such a touch. You don't want to lose the nastiness and the toughness that those guys up front bring and their ability to run the football. So I just think when you watch games, you just see a rhythm of more consistency to knowing what he can do, and as they continue to grow. Again, I'm not saying you're worried, but you're curious to see with 12 days that next step that what will they give him to do to make that offense even more dynamic. But he is, you can tell he's the future to what they're doing.
Jason Stam, go ahead with your question, please.
Coach, I just was curious as far as what do you do as a coach to kind of keep your guys a little refreshed? I mean, it's been a grind of the season, I know, and there's a reason why all these teams have opted out already. But And what do you do as a coach at this point to keep everybody, keep their mindset focused and keep them fresh mentally and physically, I guess?
We've had a couple meetings on that. I've been racking my brain. It's nice when you have a bowl game because you do get a little bit of a change. You know, you go to a bowl site, and for us, you kind of run out there, even if it's Birmingham like last year, and maybe you go out and you practice on some grass, and you got a new practice site and some different food and some different things. And the uniqueness of this year is we're going to be coming to the same place, the same locker room. We're going to make the same walk out to our bubble, and so it's very difficult to kind of spice it up. It's very difficult to change the look to some of the guys. It's much more into the challenge of trying to get inside their heads and really, more than anything than getting out of what it is that you do, trying to really work on the mindset to say that we understand, I understand. It's no different for a coach. I don't care if you're 45 years old or 19 years old. It's still, the monotony of what we've started a long time ago, but you can't allow yourself to do that. And there's not a whole lot of ways for us. I don't know, maybe Georgia has had better ways, maybe with better weather they've gone, I don't know. But for us, it's been more just trying to rely upon the relationships these guys have, the dedication they've had, and really try to challenge them more mentally than anything.
Justin Williams, go ahead with a question.
Coach, you talked the past couple of years about how the bowl game is kind of a reward for the season that you had. This season's a little bit different. Obviously, you win the conference championship. It's a higher profile bowl. Is that still the same? Do you still view it that way, or is it now different considering some of the circumstances?
No, it's a reward. There's no doubt. I mean, we had a meeting yesterday. We said, there's 100 guys sitting in this room, and I can tell you there's probably about 120 teams that would trade places with you. To have an opportunity to play in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, to play on January 1, to play against, the Georgia Bulldogs, who's a historic, obviously blue blood team that's, one of the greatest traditions in the country. How many people wouldn't trade places with you? So it is that. And, but it's hard. It's hard to recognize that sometimes as an 18 to 22-year-old, even as a coach, when you're still in the same grind, the same monotony, the same looks. So the questions go hand in hand to say, how do you try to change it up? How do you, other than just saying that this is a reward, how do you make it a reward? Well, if you love the game, you love to play the game, you love to compete, and you love to challenge yourself, what greater reward do you need than to play against an incredible opponent? So I think there's different kinds of rewards. Some people would look for a reward as, hey, if you get to, take a trip and go to Disney and then go play a game, that's a reward, and get to relax. And it's a different reward. If you're a competitor and you love the game and you want to compete, the reward is an opportunity to play on a big stage against a great opponent.
Anthony Patterson, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Coach. This question is you kind of answered a little bit just then, but of course you're in the Peach Bowl, one of the premier bowls in the nation, playing against an SEC team in a city that hosts the SEC championship and has a lot of SEC fans. Just from your perspective, and maybe from your players' perspective, how do you embrace the challenge or the idea of playing in the game like this, where you guys are basically kind of like the underdogs in a way, and coming into a crazy environment even through COVID?
Yeah, no, we are definitely the visitors, and I think that that's a part of embracing what the challenge is. I mean, like they said, this is a reward. Well, a reward is, oh my gosh, you got to go play against one of the best teams in the country in their home and their land. Yeah, that's that. If you're a competitor, if you love to challenge yourself, it is a reward, and I think you got to look at it like that. I know this, that, and I don't want to speak for the players, but I got a good idea of, who they are and what they enjoy. This year, like for everybody, has been a challenge and difficult and different. It's nothing more than a reward to say, hey, we're going to go and play in front of 18,000 people where there is going to be an atmosphere. Maybe they're booing us, maybe they're cheering against us, whatever it is, but there will be a greater atmosphere, which gives us that much more excitement and joy to go out and compete. So I think it's a unique year. I think there's a balance to all that, but the opportunity to play on the stage against who you're going to play against, whether they're cheering for you or not, an environment and an atmosphere is something that a lot of us have missed this entire football season. Maybe the South and the SEC has gotten a little bit more of the atmospheres when you pop on those games. Even on TV, you can feel it and see it with 25%. More up north, we have not had the opportunity to even get some of those atmospheres this year, whether they're positive or they're for you or against you. So I think all those things added together, I think, is another way just to kind of get yourself motivated.
Coach. Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead with your question.
Kind of on the same topic, we've had whole teams opt out of bowl games, and for you guys to not have a single player opt out, what does that say about the excitement and anticipation of playing in the Peach Bowl?
Well, I think that they know that it's reward. They know what they've sacrificed for, and they want to finish. I mean, we've always said it. It's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And that's easier to say, when things don't go well at the beginning of the year. But things have gone well all year. We've done a really good job, but we understand it's about finishing. And whether we started this thing in camp, a long time ago, and it's been an up and down season. I don't mean up and down with win. I just mean an emotional roller coaster. They still had their eye on that end prize and say, hey, how are we going to finish? And that's why we'll be remembered.
Mike Griffith, go ahead with your question.
Good morning, Coach. Hey, I want to ask you about a couple of Georgia guys. I'll just throw the numbers out there. Number 1 on offense and number 99 on defense. How much are these guys, marked up in the game plan, game changer kind of figures, and your evaluation of them?
Well, I appreciate you using numbers because I got 6 kids at home and sometimes I can't remember their names. So but I remember numbers, and they're definitely ones that you're starred, and know where they're going to be. There's no doubt. Sometimes just one on offense is not, there's 10, there's 7, there's 3. Sometimes when you see a bunch of other guys, it's harder to even say you're going to have to focus on one. But there's no doubt. You know where those guys are. 99 obviously is a big deal. And, I don't know, that's probably the one thing in our league and in this year that we probably haven't faced. We face really good football teams, good speed, good talent, all the different things. But sometimes you don't quite see those guys up front that are that big of difference makers. And that's why even for our guys up front, it's an incredible challenge for them, that they get to play against us. How else are you going to measure yourself to see where you are? It's not about winning every battle. It's about winning the war. And, when you're playing against guys like that there's going to be battles that you're going to lose here and there. But hoping you understand that it's a 60, 70, 80 play game that you got to win the war and you got to keep battling, keep fighting, in some ways wear people down.
Question, just kind of follow up there. Your history as an athlete and a wrestler is pretty well known. How close did you ever come to losing? Can you remember the match?
To losing? I remember every match I lost. I lost I just forgot. I lost 4 as a freshman, and I could probably walk you through every single one. And then I lost 1 after that. It was the one college match, and I could walk you through that. No, I can't. After 3.5 minutes, I can't remember anything because I'm so completely worn out that I don't remember a whole lot after that. But I don't know what that has to do with it. I just know that no matter what, you got to challenge yourself against great competition, and you're not going to just go out there and think that you're not going to get punched in the mouth and have some ups and downs, and you got to be able to fight through it.
We'll take our final question for Coach from Mark Weiser. Go ahead with your question.
Actually, if I did raise my hand, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, okay. Any final questions for Coach? We're just about out of time. Chad, Brindle, go ahead. Close us out.
Coach, what mentality have you sensed from your seniors and, wanting to put themselves on this stage and challenge themselves against the talent that you've talked about at Georgia? Because those guys have been your driving force all year.
Are you saying what seniors?
Just the seniors in general, like how have they taken to this challenge of, testing themselves and
I don't know that's any different from a senior to a freshman, to be honest with you. Obviously the seniors are the leaders of our team. They're the guys that, basically I'm not saying we all play for just that, but they're the guys that we talk about. Those are the guys that are the examples of a lot of things we do. But I think it's nothing greater than to see what you've got from the freshmen to the seniors, to see what sometimes even the young guys are more motivated. The hard thing for some of these older guys and senior guys is, that they start to think about the end. And sometimes they get distracted from just what's really in front of them is the opportunity to compete against the very best. So that's what you continue to remind them. You know they want to play. You know they want to get to the game. It's been a long year. You know, they want to get to Friday, whenever the game is. But I think trying to see what that whole group and every one of them have deep down inside. I mean, I think that's how we're going to measure who we are and what we really want and where this program's going. So I know it's big for the seniors. You know, I think the thing for the seniors is really trying to stay focused. I'm sure it's no different for the Georgia seniors, you know, to stay focused about not worrying about, you know, what comes after this, whether it could be the end of playing in some situations or, you know, what the next journey is going to bring. It's really trying to focus in and saying, hey, this is an opportunity for us to compete at the highest level and to show what we're made of.
All right. Thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for